Hi, my name is Sono, and I'm going to present on renewable energy. So, first of all, what is renewable energy? Renewable energy is energy that comes from natural sources or processes that are constantly restored. It's the opposite of dirty energy, which is energy that uses sources that are only available in limited amounts and take a long time to replenish. For example, dirty energy is coal or oil or gas. Some examples of renewable energy is solar, wind, water, geothermal, and biomass, all of which I'm going to talk about later. Um, Currently, only 17% of the United States energy is renewable. Some other benefits of renewable energy, besides protecting the environment and mitigating climate change, is that renewable energy can provide electricity to remote communities. In addition, it can create a lot of jobs. Renewable energy employs 707,000 people, according to the Energy Defense Fund. Only 160,000 people are employed in the coal industry. It also promotes better health among people because it does not pollute. So, we're going to talk about some main sources of renewable energy. First, we're going to talk about solar energy. So, when you think of solar energy, I think the first thing that comes into your mind is a solar panel, and that is one of the most commonly used tools when it comes to solar energy. So, how solar panels work is by allowing photons, which are particles of light, to knock electrons free from atoms, which generates a flow of electricity. But there are other tools that can be used besides solar panels. For example, heat absorbent buildings can absorb heat during the day and absorb the heat into floors and walls, and then release the heat at night to keep the building warm. And another way is water heating, which is the conversion of sunlight into heat for water. Some pitfalls of solar panels is that they rely on the weather and they don't work at night. And also, they're pretty expensive, although people say that it pays itself in 5 to 10 years. Next, we're going to talk about wind energy. Wind energy is a booming source of renewable energy. It has grown 8 times in the last decade, but it still only accounts for 1% of the energy used in the United States. It is also the cheapest renewable energy source, and the International Renewable Energy Agency announced that wind turbine prices have an average cost of 6 cents per kilowatt, um, which makes it the cheapest renewable energy source. Fossil fuels currently range from 5 cents to 17 cents. So wind energy is generally cheap enough to compete with fossil fuels, which is really good. And the biggest wind turbines can supply 600 US homes. However, wind energy requires a lot of land, unlike solar, and a lot of people think they're ugly and noisy. And they can also kill birds and bats because of the spinning turbines. But that's not as nearly as many as cars, power lines, and high rise buildings do. So it's nothing new. And also, wind is variable, so wind energy doesn't work everywhere. Next, we're going to talk about hydroelectric power. Hydroelectric power is the most commonly used renewable energy in the United States, and it makes up about 10% of energy in the United States. And also 71% of all of the renewable energy generated on Earth is from hydropower. Hydropower is really commonly used, but it causes a lot of environmental damage because it interrupts the natural flow of water by creating dams, and that can greatly impact the river ecosystem and the environment. And in some cases, it also emits vast quantities of carbon dioxide and methane because in areas near the dam that are full of water, the plants underneath the water can begin to rot and decompose. And this kind of decomposition without oxygen involvement can give off vast amounts of carbon dioxide and methane, which leads to increase in pollution levels and also climate change. It's also very, very expensive to build in hydroelectric power plant. Next, we're going to talk about biomass energy. Biomass energy is the use of organic material to generate energy. Biomass is just a fancy word for organic matter. It's just stuff that's made in nature, like wood or grass clippings or even dung. And other crops can be used like sugarcane and corn. Um, Biomass energy costs a lot less to collect compared to oil or coal, and it can reduce our waste if it's used in the right ways. However, biomass energy is a really controversial source of renewable energy. A lot of people think that it's not completely clean and it does more harm than good because burning wood and other plant life does create other emissions in addition to carbon. And in addition, a lot of water is needed to produce biomass energy, and that may result in water sources becoming less available to people and wildlife. And the World Bank also thinks that it will lead to an inflation in crops, 75% to be precise. But some researchers say that it's carbon neutral since biomass energy absorbs as much water, not water, carbon as it emits when it's burning, since plants absorb carbon as they grow. But other people agree, so yeah, it's a very controversial renewable energy source. Next, we're going to talk about geothermal energy. Geothermal energy is heat derived within the subsurface of the Earth, and it can be used in two ways. First, you can create a geothermal power plant, which uses the heat from deep inside the Earth to generate steam, which makes electricity. Another way is by using geothermal heat pumps, which taps into the heat close to the Earth's surface to directly heat water or provide heat for buildings. Geothermal energy doesn't depend on the weather, so the power output of a geothermal plant can be accurately predicted, unlike solar panels, or wind turbines. However, it only accounts for 0.5% of the US's energy. Since 2001, it hasn't grown much, and that's because the generation of high or medium temperature resources are needed, which are usually located close to tectonically active regions, and the US doesn't have much of them. However, places like Iceland and the Philippines meet nearly one-third of their energy demand with geothermal energy. It does have some pitfalls, however. The greenhouse gases below Earth's surface can potentially migrate to the surface and into the atmosphere when we drill for geothermal energy. Um, it's also very expensive to build a power plant and distribute geothermal energy, and this isn't that great of a concern, but construction of geothermal power plants can affect the stability of land. In January 1997, the construction of a geothermal power plant in Switzerland triggered an earthquake with a magnitude of 3.5 on the Richter scale, which is pretty big. So, what can we individuals do to promote the use of renewable energy? So, the most commonly used tool to use renewable energy in a household is solar panels. And you can install solar panels in your home, but that can be kind of pricey. It can cost 10K to 14K to install solar panels in your house. So another way is that you can use your city's clean energy plan if it has one. For example, if you live in San Jose like I do, you can switch to Total Green by San Jose Clean Energy, which is a nonprofit community choice energy program. You can get your energy from 100% renewable energy sources, and it costs 1% less than what PG&E charges. And you can still get your bills from PG&E since they're still the distributor, so there isn't that big of a change that you have to make. You can also vote for leaders who support renewable energy. A lot of our political leaders receive pressure from lobbyists, and they do politics. That gives a lot of power to big oil companies. The International Monetary Fund found that $5.2 trillion was spent globally on fossil fuel subsidies in 2017, and that makes up for 85% of all global subsidies. So the future of renewable energy doesn't look that bleak, but it's not that great either. There's a lot of local political change emerging when it comes to renewable energy, although the federal government is not doing much about it. For example, Hawaii and California have set the goal of 100% renewable energy by 2045. And over 200 mayors in the United States have established the objective of 100% renewable by 2035. And there's also an increase in individual investment. Um, Investment in renewable energy in the United States exceeded $40 billion in both 2017 and 2018. And in 2018, 156 global corporations have committed themselves to 100% renewable energy. There's also a lot of development in renewable energy technology. The US Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy budget was increased by 2% for 2019, and it's $2.38 billion now. A 2% increase is not much, but it's still an increase. And also, there are a lot of individual corporations that are working on energy efficiency and renewable energy technology, like electric cars and solar panels and stuff like that. But so yeah, there's a lot of change going on, but this really isn't enough. We're at a point of irreversible change in the climate system. The UN warns that we have 12 years to limit catastrophic climate change. And I think this all proves that we have the technology necessary to make that change happen. And all that's missing is our political will. So here's my works cited page. Thank you for listening to my presentation.